No matter where we're from, we all want to nourish our loved ones with safe and healthy food. Let's start with a carrot. A single carrot grown in healthy living soil can be 20 times more nourishing than one grown with industrial farming methods. In terms of taste, vitamins, and nutrients, not all carrots are created equally. So, what if the food we trust is actually harming us and running low on nutrients? Over the past 15 years, I've had the chance to work with farmers and entrepreneurs in Latin America, Europe, and East Africa. And based on that experience, I would love to share 3 critical issues facing food and agriculture today, in Africa and globally. First, I want to discuss how the excessive use of agrochemicals is making us sick. Second, I want to discuss power concentration and corporate control in global food markets and why ownership matters. And finally, I will look into funding bias and reflect about my own role as a foreigner in Africa's food and agriculture. Here in East Africa, many of the foods we eat are sprayed with a dangerous cocktail of agrochemicals. And I love cocktails, but not that kind. The alarming reality is that 76% of pesticides used on Kenya's farms are actually categorized as highly hazardous. Take tomatoes, for instance. To make them go big and bright, rather than more healthy and tasty, the gospel of modernization pushes farmers to spray their tomatoes with chemical fungicides like Mangozeb, which is the white powder you find on your tomato when you buy them in the market. It's applied to make them look shiny, but it's actually a toxic agrochemical known to cause infertility and cancer. Many of these products are so dangerous for human health that they are banned in Europe. And while Europe doesn't want them on their own plates, they do export them. And here in East Africa, many of the foods we feed our children are sprayed with those chemicals. This is the hidden crisis on our plates. We are what we eat. The quality and safety of our food directly determines our own health. Somebody who consistently refused to spray chemicals promoted by local governments and foreign donors is Sylvia Curia. Why? Because her purpose is simple and powerful: to feed her community with safe and healthy food. Sylvia is a farmer, and she sells organic food here in Nairobi, 1 click away. When I first met her, I was struck by her grit and vision. Sylvia is a food system leader with capital F, F of female power and resilience. Sylvia has been farming with nature many years now, yet some of her neighbors still think she's crazy. Over the past 10 years, she's been building Sylvia's Basket, a thriving agribusiness, feeding hundreds of families with safe and healthy food every week here in the capital city. Against all odds, she's proving that farming with nature is not only possible, but profitable business. Ignoring the relevance of Sylvia's story, there's a handful of giant corporations that control the seeds and chemicals used across the globe. Let's call them Big Ag and Big Food. They decide what we eat. From seeds to grains to beef, only 4 companies control our markets globally. Depending on the product category, it's about 40 to 85% being controlled by only 4 corporations. These corporations promise to feed the world, yet 3 billion people cannot afford a healthy diet today, including 3/4 of all people on the African continent. In the name of development and innovation, Big Ag aggressively lobbies to push a chemical-heavy industrial farming model onto Africa in particular, with Western donor agencies, global financial institutions, and a few powerful so-called philanthropic foundations all amplifying that narrative. This is not just agriculture. This is modern colonialism on our plates, served on a bed of extractive profits with a sauce of agrochemicals and corporate marketing. The result? Farmers get locked into dependency on imported seeds and fertilizers. Our soils, biodiversity, and food cultures are rapidly degrading. We all eat fewer and fewer local foods everywhere. And while calorie intake goes up, nutrients go down. We can and need to change the way our food is produced, sold, distributed, and consumed. And this, it's about control over our soils, our seeds, our bodies and economies. We need to reclaim the right to know what we eat and how it's produced. And I'm convinced that purpose-driven entrepreneurs are key to unlock that change. Meet Emmanuel Luemba from central Uganda. He's a father, a farmer, a trainer to farmers, and passionate about farming with nature. Emma witnessed firsthand how imported hybrid seeds cause dependency because they can't be saved and replanted. This forces farmers to buy new seeds every season, along with the expensive inputs they require. And that leads to higher costs, less disposable income for farmers, and the extinction of many of our local varieties. So, Emma founded Eden Seeds, a farmer-owned indigenous seed company. This year, his first years in operations officially, Emma already served 1,000 farmers and sold $25,000 worth of indigenous, resilient, and affordable Ugandan seeds. In 1 year, that's already 3 times the level of annual sales at which I see many agribusinesses in Uganda stagnate. The company is structured to always remain farmer-owned, proving that it's possible to hack capitalism while building a company where impact and profits go hand in hand. Emma's story is also a powerful reminder that true change comes from the people within, from lived struggles in their communities, and from how they obsess about solving them. For me, this insight about true change coming from within led to reflecting about my role in Africa's food and agriculture entrepreneurship, especially in Uganda. I ended up working with Emma and nearly 100 entrepreneurs like him in the past few years. And recognizing persistent colonial power dynamics in Africa's food, agriculture, and funding, I started asking 2 important questions. To transform food and agriculture here, what needs to be built according to you? And 2, how can we support you in building it? Working with this mindset in Uganda has taught me 2 powerful lessons. First, to achieve meaningful change, ownership absolutely matters. How a company is financed, structured, and owned directly determines whether it will be extractive or regenerative. Outside money often prioritizes short-term financial profits over long-term community value and benefit. And sooner than later, this often leads to mission drift. And that is why, when we talk about entrepreneurship, we have to discuss ownership. Second, this change starts from the people. In entrepreneurship, it's the people like Emma and Sylvia that drive success. In an unforgiving hustle economy, their skills, network, determination, and grit is what makes or breaks a business. They are the stewards of the land and of their businesses. If they don't lose control to financial owners, they can safeguard their mission and values and impact for the long term. However, when I moved here 5 years ago, I looked around me and I noticed that many agribusinesses in East Africa are actually foreign-owned and led. And this is what really troubles me. Because of my background, my networks, and yes, my skin color, it's easier for me to raise money than it is for entrepreneurs like Emma or Sylvia. Especially so because the people that finance us are often people that think, relate, and are like me. In fact, of the 10 most well-funded businesses in a recent year, 8 of them were run by foreigners. Raising money for African startups apparently becomes less difficult if you're not African. So, to all foreign entrepreneurs, and especially people with a migration background from Europe and the US, this is an invitation to reflect about our role in Africa's food and agriculture. Do we, as immigrants, decide which problems need to be solved and how to solve them? Or do we recognize that Africa's agriculture needs sovereignty, not saviors? We have to realize that passion is not permission. Just because we care about a problem doesn't mean we are the ones to solve it. The future belongs to entrepreneurs like Emma, Sylvia, and thousands like them. Our job is to back them, not to replace them. My role as an immigrant, I feel, is to step aside, listen, amplify, and support homegrown solutions. And one thing we can do is to remove ourselves from decision-making power and financial ownership. And that is why, with our Ugandan partners, we have designed our company to be fully Ugandan-owned over time. And that transition is already in motion. So, as I tell my daughter in the picture, we have a choice. Do we let big ag dictate what grows in African soils and which chemicals end up in our children's stomachs? Or do we back entrepreneurs like Emma and Sylvia, who are building businesses that put health, justice, and biodiversity first? What we put in our mouths on a daily basis directly affects our own health and our children's future. So let's reclaim the right to save seeds and know what we eat. Let's demand food free of chemicals. If a single carrot grown in healthy living soil can be 20 times more nourishing, now imagine the nourishment in systems built on dignity and ownership, not extraction and dependency. I envision connecting impactful entrepreneurs to build game-changing agribusinesses across the world, each time firmly rooted in context and place, locally owned and led. Because in the end, the most effective solutions are those that are built and led by the communities they serve. And that is why the future of Africa's food must be in African hands. Thank you.